Thank you for joining me, Ian.
Hi, Jen.
Hello. So, what's your background in writing then? How did it all start for you?
To get kisses.
Is this true?
To get kisses. Some of my friends would come out with really cheesy chat-up lines like, "Hey, babe, is your name Wi-Fi? I feel a connection."
Oh dear.
And that didn't work.
No.
So I
can
tried
imagine.
poems. And when you're as ugly as I am, and you can see that I'm pretty ugly, but you should see my parents, well, you need all the help you can get.
I see. And did it work on the
No.
girls? No.
No.
That's a shame. So you carried on with it then?
Well, if at first you don't succeed, try again. And so writing poems for girls kind of went into performance style poetry, street theatre, poetry workshops for survivors of domestic violence, for women seeking to exit the sex industry and drug addiction at the Man of Women's Project. 2 years at a refuge for women, Avon House in Warsaw, empowering them and the children. Poetry workshops in schools. Warsaw's first ever Poet Laureate for 3 years, Poet in Residence at Warsaw Parish Church for a year for their 800th anniversary festival, and more gigs than I care to remember. I think I did 100 gigs at open mic venues and festivals last year.
Wow.
Another one tomorrow, another one Wednesday, another one Friday. Last big one was 16th of May, the Black Country Living Museum for their Red by Night festival, 2,000 people.
Wow. So you're a busy man then?
Busy man, but it's a long way from Mary of the Fourth Form. And she didn't like my poems either.
But you've got a book out, haven't you?
I've got 3 books out this year, Jen. The first one is called Black Country Blues.
Okay.
And that's been published by Thinks Publications. That's published to coincide with the Black Country Festival.
So you were telling me before about some women that you've helped overcome issues like domestic violence and sexual exploitation. So how did writing help them?
Well, Jen, it enabled them to get in touch with their feelings, and getting in touch with their feelings enabled them to come out of denial, and it was a form of empowerment. A lot of these women, because of what had happened to them, being raped, blocking out those painful memories through drink, alcohol, or self-abuse, they were like ducks who go underwater then pop up further down the river or the lake. And I started the workshops by inviting them to do a letter to their abuser, a letter to the person who hurt them, a letter to the person who pimped them and put them on the streets of Warsaw. And a letter isn't necessarily a poem, but it does start the process. And like a snowball which becomes an avalanche, a lot of words was written. It was in a safe, secure, nurturing environment where women could say, this is what happened, I don't have to pretend anymore, this is what was done to me. And I want to celebrate. The next stage of the recovery process was to celebrate who they are and what they are, and to look forward to the future.
So did they continue writing as part of their therapy?
They did. And I did that for 2 years. I did it for 2 years in the Man of Women's Project in Warsaw, which is a hostel for women seeking to exit the sex industry and a life of drug addiction, and also Avon House, which is run by Karma Housing, which is a hostel for women and children who are survivors as opposed to victims of domestic abuse.
Is it important that they see themselves as survivors rather than victims?
Yeah, because they've survived it and they are going forward. And similar workshops, letters to their abusers, celebration of who they are and what they have. Gloria Gaynor classic, I Will Survive.
And you spent some time as Warsaw's Poet Laureate as well. So what did the role involve?
Warsaw Poet Laureate, the first Poet Laureate of Warsaw, 3 years, 2011 to 2012, 2012 to 2013, and then on to 2014, serving 3 mayors of Warsaw, helping them, representing them at civic events and helping with their fundraising.
Okay, and so did you write poetry for specific landmark events in the town?
I did, including the Olympic celebrations in 2012.
Oh, fantastic. So what was your poem about?
The Olympics.
Did it have a specific theme?
Well, the poet connected with the Olympics was Tennyson, because writing words, and the organisers of the National Poetry Day, a panel of journalists, a panel of authors and poets met in London, and submissions and nominations were invited from the nation as to the nation's favourite poets and what poems should represent the spirit of the Olympics in the Olympic Village in London. And a number of entries were received, but Tennyson's poem Ulysses seems to strike a chord, to seek, to strive, to find and not to yield, and those were felt to be the virtues needed by Olympians. Also it's poetic, I suppose, that the poems were written about a Greek king and the Olympics coming from Greece. So a king who didn't yield, and so we took that on board.
So Ian, you were telling me that you've got a book out at the moment. What's it about?
It's called Black Country Blues. It's a collection of poems that I've written in the last year, performed in the last year. I estimate that I must have performed at 100 venues.
Wow.
Open mic venues and festivals. Many of the poems have been published in the Black Country Bugle, in their Black Country Ballads section. Some of the poems have been translated into Black Country dialect by Dr. Brian Dakin at Aston University, who performs on the open mic circuit as Billy Spakeman, singing and reading his work in Black Country dialect, and all the profits are for cancer support.
Okay. Is the Black Country dialect getting a bit of a revival in poetry at the moment then?
Suddenly it's become cool, and I don't know why, because it's been around for years.
Yeah.
Interestingly, the foreword is by Councillor Pete. I forgot his name. I know the leader of Dudley Council. He's done the foreword, and it's nice. It's just nice to be part of the Black Country Festival. Yeah. Even though I'm from Warsaw.
So what was the festival like?
Councillor Pete Lowe.
Oh, brilliant, Pete Lowe. And then what was the Black Country Festival?
Black Country Festival celebrates the region. This celebrates the region of the Black Country across Wolverhampton, Sandwell, Dudley, and Wolverhampton. Celebrates the dialect. It celebrates the culture. It celebrates the people. Okay. It celebrates the rich history.
Okay, so your book has got some poems that are particularly poignant to the Black Country.
Yes.
Okay.
And also poems for people who aren't from the Black Country.
Okay, to educate us.
Yeah. Even people from Shrewsbury.
Oh, that's good.
I've heard Shrewsbury's a nice place.
It's a lovely place. Yeah, it's really, really nice. So have you got one of your poems to share with us tonight?
May I?
Yes, that'd be lovely.
This is a poem from the book. It's called Vampires, and this is a poem that I've done many times in schools because Dracula was a real person. When I go into schools, I always say, well, history was horrible, history is cool, and bad things happened to people in history. There was a Dracula, he did live in a castle, he did impale people. It's early psychological warfare. He became a monster to try and frighten Turks who were invading his homeland in Romania, and it's called Vampires. And kids love it because it's all about impaling people.
Great.
And I brought along a friend. Can I bring my friend out?
Yeah, definitely.
This is my friend. Would you like to hold my friend?
I'd love to. Who's this then? Is this...
Well,
it's quite big teeth.
Bugs Bunny. No, if I was a Shakespearean actor, I'd say that's Yorick. This is a vampire that I killed last night. Drove a stake into his heart. Because I secretly moonlight as a vampire killer.
Fantastic. And how do the kids respond when you bring this guy out?
Oh, they love it. It's something to touch, something to hold.
Yeah. Makes it a bit visual for them.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So the poem called Vampires. You see them everywhere. Vampires. They wear black evening wear. Vampires. They siphon out the blood from the living and the good, snarling beneath black hoods. Vampires. They slink beneath moonlight. Vampires. Lurking, ready to fight, fright. Vampires. Appearing at bedsides or a hearse for a ride, making jokes which are snide. Vampires. Hate silver crucifix. Vampires. Visit blood banks for kicks. Vampires. Stench of blood on their breath, have dreams about death. The church is bereft. Vampires. No mirrors in their castles. Vampires. Drink blood from their vassals. Vampires. Our streets are running red, howls the living dead. Dracula to be fed. Vampires. Are you in real estate? Vampires. Dwell at cemetery gates. Vampires. Do people look like meat? Sniff everyone you greet and feel dead on your feet. Vampires. Are you a grave dodger? Vampires. Just a coffin lodger? Vampires. Sensitive to dentists, cosmetic waiting lists. My neck you want to kiss? Vampire. Take a stake to the heart of vampires. This world swiftly depart. Vampires. You are dead on the run. Get thee gone, foul demon. Here comes the morning sun. vampires.
That's wonderful, thank you. And how do the kids respond when they hear that?
They laugh, and when they laugh, you know that you're halfway there because it's fun.
Yeah.
History, it's about poo, it's about wee, it's about bad things happening to kids, and history is horrible.
Tell us about the events that you've got coming up.
12 gigs in 9 days. The first one, well, there's one tomorrow, there's one the day after, there's one Friday. A big one is on the 11th of July, which is the Women's Chainmakers Festival in Cradley Heath. That's a big festival organised by the TUC. 18th of July, book launch at Central Library in Walsall, book launch in Sadler's Centre, Walsall, book launch at Rift & Co. Cocktail Bar, Walsall, this book, Black Country book. I've got one the following day in Stourbridge, yes.
So you're very busy then, basically.
But not too busy to talk to you.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a real eye-opener, especially the vampire poem. I really enjoyed that.
Vampires.
Thank you very much. That's all from me. Join us again for more news. Goodbye.